Case 1. Aiden von Grabow, Longmont, Colorado, a serene town nestled in the foothills of the Rockies, was known for its tight-knit community and peaceful neighborhoods. Among its residents was 15-year-old Aiden von Grabow, a seemingly ordinary teenager. He attended school, had friends, and lived with his family. However, beneath this facade, Aiden harbored a dark obsession. A death list he kept in a red notebook detailed plans to harm several classmates, including Michaela Brote's younger sister. Michaela, 20, had unknowingly become a target when she reported Aiden's disturbing behavior to authorities. Her act of courage would tragically seal her fate. On November 18, 2017, Aiden's plan came to fruition. He donned black motorcycle gear and armed himself with a knife. Arriving at the Grote family's apartment, he was confronted by Michaela, who answered the door. Without hesitation, Aiden fatally stabbed her. Her younger sister, who had been the intended victim, managed to lock herself in another room, narrowly escaping the same fate. Aiden fled the scene, leaving behind a community in shock. The investigation into Michaela's murder was swift. Her sister identified Aiden as the attacker, leading to his arrest within hours. A search of his home revealed the chilling death list and evidence of meticulous planning, including purchases of tactical gear and weapons. Authorities discovered that Aiden had been under psychiatric care and had been placed on a temporary hold after threatening Michaela's sister. Despite this, he had been released, raising questions about the effectiveness of monitoring troubled youth. Charged with first-degree murder and multiple felonies, Aiden's defense team argued that his actions were the result of involuntary intoxication due to an adverse reaction between the acne medication Accutane and an antidepressant he had been prescribed. Experts testified that such a combination could lead to mood swings and aggression. However, the prosecution contended that Aiden's premeditated actions and the existence of the death list indicated a deliberate intent to kill. In May 2019, Aiden von Grabow pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and related charges. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. The courtroom was filled with emotional statements from Michaela's family, expressing their grief and loss. Aiden's mother, too, spoke, acknowledging the horror of her son's actions and the pain caused to the Grote family. The murder of Michaela Grote left an indelible mark on Longmont. The case raised difficult questions about the effectiveness of mental health interventions and the responsibility of families and communities in identifying and addressing warning signs. While some debated the role of medication in influencing behavior, the tragedy underscored the importance of vigilance and early intervention in preventing such horrors. Michaela's death serves as a proof of the tragedy that can unfold when signs are dismissed. Case 2. Lacy Aaron Schmidt. In the quiet town of Harlem, Georgia, the streets were lined with oak trees, and neighbors knew each other by name. Lacy Aaron Schmidt, a 14-year-old boy, was a familiar face in the Callahan household. He often visited his friend Alana and her family, sometimes even considered part of their circle. Despite occasional tensions, such as when Alana's mother found Schmidt in their home uninvited, the bond between the families remained. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic community, a storm was brewing. On January 31, 2011, tragedy struck.
While Alana sat at her computer after school, Schmidt entered her home, allegedly to retrieve a handgun from her parents' bedroom. In a moment of violence, he shot Alana in the back of the head, then dragged her body into the woods behind her house. When Alana's sister returned, Schmidt feigned ignorance, claiming someone had abducted her. He led the search and, upon finding Alana's body, expressed concern about leaving fingerprints, but showed no genuine emotion. His inconsistent statements and lack of remorse raised suspicions among investigators. Authorities quickly pieced together the events. Schmidt's conflicting accounts and the discovery of stolen items from the Callahan home in his possession painted a clear picture. Further evidence, such as the gun's owner's manual found at his residence, contradicted his claim of an accidental shooting. The community was in shock, struggling to reconcile the image of a friendly neighbor with that of a cold-blooded killer. In 2012, Schmidt stood trial for malice murder, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, and theft by taking. The prosecution presented a compelling case, highlighting Schmidt's premeditation and lack of remorse. The defense argued for a lesser charge, citing potential immaturity and impulsive behavior. However, the jury found Schmidt guilty on all counts. The trial captivated the nation, sparking debates on juvenile justice and the capacity for young individuals to commit heinous acts. Schmidt was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His appeal, challenging the severity of the sentence for a juvenile, was denied by the Georgia Supreme Court in 2015. The court upheld the conviction and sentence, affirming that the evidence supported the jury's decision. The Callahan family, while devastated, found some solace in the justice served, though the pain of their loss remained ever present. The case of Lacy Aaron Schmidt serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities within human nature and the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. It raises profound questions about the capacity for evil in young individuals and the adequacy of the justice system in addressing such cases. While the community of Harlem has slowly healed, the shadows of that fateful day continue to linger, challenging perceptions and leaving an indelible mark on all who were touched by the tragedy. Case 3. Logan Tyler Mott. Neptune Beach, Florida, is a coastal town where the rhythm of the ocean mirrors the calm of its community. In November 2017, Logan Mott, a 15-year-old high school student, appeared to be just another teenager grappling with typical adolescent challenges. Struggling with alcohol, recently accused of sexual assault, and facing emotional turmoil, Logan's life seemed to be spiraling. Yet, beneath the surface of this troubled youth lay a tragedy waiting to unfold. On November 22, 2017, Logan's grandmother, Christina French, was reported missing. The following day, her body was discovered in a shallow grave in the backyard of Logan's father's home. Christina had been shot in the head and stabbed multiple times. Logan was found attempting to cross the Canadian border in Christina's car, carrying firearms, ammunition, and a bloody knife. He was arrested and later confessed to the murder, stating he had acted impulsively and was intoxicated at the time. Investigators pieced together Logan's actions leading up to the crime. He had been in contact with an online group discussing methods to clean up crime scenes and dispose of bodies. Evidence suggested a level of premeditation, though Logan's defense argued it was an act of passion. The community was left in shock, struggling to comprehend how a teenager could commit such a heinous act. Logan Mott pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. During the trial, his defense highlighted his troubled mental state, substance abuse issues, and the recent sexual assault accusation as factors influencing his actions. The prosecution emphasized the violence of the crime and the premeditated nature of the act. The court proceedings were intense, with emotional testimonies from family members and experts. In 2019, Logan was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The community grappled with mixed emotions, sympathy for a troubled youth, and sorrow for the victim, Christina. In 2023, Logan faced additional charges for brewing alcohol in prison, but the judge declined to extend his sentence. The case left a lasting impact on Neptune Beach, raising questions about juvenile justice, mental health, and the capacity for violence in seemingly ordinary individuals. The murder of Christina French by her grandson, Logan Mott, serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of human behavior and the factors that can lead to unimaginable acts of violence. It challenges the perception of what drives individuals to commit such crimes and underscores the importance of addressing mental health issues and providing support to those in need. As the community continues to heal, the case remains a poignant example of how the darkest shadows can fall in the most unexpected places.
Case 4. Brian Lee Draper. Pocatello, Idaho, is a tranquil town known for its tight-knit community and scenic landscapes. Among its residents were Brian Draper and Torrey Adamsick, two 16-year-old high school juniors with a shared passion for horror films. Their obsession with movies like Scream and the Columbine High School Massacre led them to fantasize about committing a murder to gain notoriety. Their target was their classmate, 16-year-old Cassie Jo Stoddart, who was known for her kindness and reliability. On the evening of September 22, 2006, Cassie was house-sitting for her aunt and uncle. She invited her boyfriend, Matt Beckham, over to watch a movie. Brian and Torrey visited, watched part of Kill Bill Volume 2, and then pretended to leave. Unbeknownst to Cassie, they had unlocked the basement door to re-enter later. After Matt left around 10:30 p.m., the boys returned wearing masks and armed with knives. They turned off the power to the house, hoping to lure Cassie downstairs. When she didn't come down, they went upstairs and brutally stabbed her approximately 30 times, resulting in her death. The murder went unsolved for 2 days until Cassie's body was discovered. Initial suspects included her mother's boyfriend, whose fingerprints were found on the fuse box, and Matt Beckham. However, Matt was cleared after passing a polygraph test and providing a consistent alibi. The investigation then focused on Brian and Torrey. They initially claimed to have gone to a movie, but couldn't recall any details about the film. Further questioning led to their confession, and they directed investigators to Black Rock Canyon, where they had disposed of evidence, including a videotape documenting their plans and the murder itself. Brian Draper and Toure Adamczyk were charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. During their separate trials, the prosecution presented the videotape as key evidence, showing the boys discussing their intentions and the murder. The defense argued that the tape was part of a horror movie project, but the jury found the evidence compelling. Both were convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The convictions were upheld through various appeals. In 2011, the Idaho Supreme Court affirmed Draper's life sentence for murder and vacated his conspiracy conviction due to erroneous jury instructions. However, the court did not find his sentence to be cruel and unusual punishment. Similarly, Adamczyk's appeals were denied, and his life sentence was upheld in 2017. The case of Brian Draper and Toure Adamczyk, known as the Screen Killers, shocked the community and raised questions about the influence of media on young minds. It highlighted the dangers of desensitization to violence and the importance of addressing mental health issues in adolescence. Cassie's death warns us: always look deeper into what teens are thinking and hiding.
Case 5. Aiden Zellmar. In the quiet suburban neighborhood of Thornton, Colorado, life unfolded like any other. Families gathered for barbecues, children played in the streets, and the evenings were filled with the sounds of laughter. Among these families was the Zelmar household, where 15-year-old Aiden Zelmar lived with his mother and 2 younger brothers. Aiden was known to be a typical teenager, quiet, introverted, and seemingly harmless. His life was unremarkable, marked by school, video games, and the occasional family outing. But beneath this ordinary facade, something darker was brewing. On the evening of June 7, 2017, Aiden and his 10-year-old stepsister, Kayaya Campbell, left their home to go to a nearby store. They had planned to steal Pokemon cards, but when they found the cards locked behind a counter, they resorted to stealing candy instead. As they walked back home, a storm began to brew. Aiden claimed they argued about whether to wait out the rain or go home. He said they decided to stay where they were, but when the rain stopped, Kayaya was gone. Aiden's story was inconsistent, and surveillance footage contradicted his account. The next day, Kayaya's body was found in a drainage ditch. She had been beaten to death with a metal pipe. Aiden's initial calm demeanor shifted when confronted with the news of her death. He claimed he had left her behind because she was being annoying. However, evidence collected from his clothing and shoes, including bloodstains, linked him to the crime. Aiden later confessed to using the pipe to kill Kayaya, though he never provided a clear motive. The investigation into Kayaya's death was swift and thorough. Detectives found inconsistencies in Aiden's statements and discrepancies in his alibi. Forensic evidence, including blood on his shoes and clothing, pointed directly to him as the perpetrator. Aiden's calm and collected demeanor during police interviews raised further suspicions. He misled investigators and deceived those searching for Kayaya. The community was in shock, struggling to comprehend how a teenager could commit such a heinous act. Aiden was charged with first-degree murder and tried as an adult. His defense centered around claims of mental health issues and a troubled family history, including alleged abuse. However, the prosecution argued that Aiden's actions were deliberate and premeditated. They dismissed the notion that a 15-year-old could be incapable of such cruelty, emphasizing the brutality of the crime. The public was divided. Some sympathized with Aiden's claimed struggles, while others were horrified by the coldness of his actions. In February 2019, Aiden pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. In March, he was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. The judge remarked that Kayaya would not be forgotten, acknowledging the profound impact her death had on the community. Kayaya's family expressed their grief and loss, remembering her as a vibrant and joyful child whose life was tragically cut short. The case of Aiden Zellmar and Kayaya Campbell left an indelible mark on Thornton. It raised unsettling questions about the capacity for violence in seemingly ordinary individuals and the hidden struggles that may lie beneath the surface. The community was left to grapple with the reality that such darkness could exist in their midst. Though justice prevailed, the tragedy leaves behind scars that echo the dark depths of human nature.
Case 6. T.J. Lane, Chardon, Ohio, a town known for its peaceful surroundings and close-knit community, was the setting for a tragedy that would forever alter its landscape. Thomas Michael T.J. Lane III, a 17-year-old student at Lake Academy Alternative School, appeared to be an ordinary teenager. Raised in a tumultuous household, Lane's parents had lost custody of him due to issues related to domestic violence and substance abuse. He was sent to live with his grandparents, leading a life that seemed unremarkable to those around him. However, beneath the surface, Lane harbored deep-seated anger and a sense of alienation. His social interactions were limited, and he often kept to himself, giving little indication of the storm brewing within. On the morning of February 27, 2012, Lane boarded a bus to Chardon High School, a place he once attended. At approximately 7:30 a.m., he entered the school's cafeteria and opened fire with a .22 caliber handgun. The attack was swift and unprovoked. Lane targeted students at random, killing 3: Daniel Parmenter, Russell King Jr., and Demetrius Hewlin, and injuring 3 others, one of whom was left paralyzed. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic, with students fleeing in terror and teachers attempting to shield them. Lane fled the scene, but was apprehended shortly thereafter by a teacher and a coach. In the aftermath, authorities launched an investigation to determine the motive behind the shooting. Prosecutors revealed that Lane had no personal connection to the victims and had chosen them randomly. The lack of a clear motive left the community and investigators grappling for answers. Lane's social media posts, including a disturbing message stating, "Die, all of you," raised concerns about his mental state. Psychiatrists diagnosed him with schizophrenia, though it was debated whether this condition impaired his ability to understand the consequences of his actions. Lane's trial was marked by his apparent lack of remorse. He was charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted aggravated murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. Despite his defense team's efforts to present mitigating factors, Lane pleaded guilty to all charges. During sentencing, he defiantly removed his shirt to reveal a white t-shirt with the word "killer" written on it, and made obscene gestures toward the victims' families. On March 19, 2013, Lane was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 37 years for the attempted murders and assault. The court acknowledged his mental illness, but emphasized the severity of his actions. The victims' families expressed their grief and anger, with some publicly forgiving Lane, while others condemned his lack of remorse. The Chardon High School shooting raised profound questions about mental health, gun access, and the warning signs of violent behavior. The community, though scarred, came together to support the victims' families and advocate for stricter gun laws. Lane's actions highlighted the importance of early intervention and the need for comprehensive mental health care. While the wounds may never fully heal, the tragedy served as a catalyst for change, prompting nationwide discussions on how to prevent such senseless acts of violence in the future.
Thanks so much for watching and for always tuning in. Your support means a lot. This case was truly disturbing, and in my opinion, every bit of the penalty was deserved. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another twisted real-life crime story. More chilling cases are on the way. Stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one.